What's up, guys? First flipping video of 2020, and I can't think of a better way to start off than by going over and doing a little look through and review of all the butterfly knives or balisongs that I actually have. So what we're going to do is, first off, we got to have a little talk, and then we'll lay them all down here on this table, and then one by one we'll talk about them a little bit and then flip them for a minute. After that, I don't know, I guess I'll just fucking rank them or something. I just thought it would be cool to show you guys all the butterfly knives I have, and I was able to pretty much get every single balisong I had together and actually flippable for this video, but there's like 2 or 3 that I wasn't able to do that. But for the most part, you'll actually be able to see my little balisong journey, the ones I got and used throughout the years, and which ones I liked and didn't really like, but just, yeah, you get the gist. All right, we're gonna go through this, but before we start, right now, leave a like on this video, leave a comment, share this video around, subscribe for more if you haven't already. The only reason I'm saying to do that right now is because people say it works, so I'll try it. Alright, so this little rant that I'm about to go on here actually ends up being about 10 minutes long. I had a lot to say. And I understand a lot of people didn't come here to see someone rant about something. They just wanted to see some cool knives. So if you don't want to hear my thoughts and opinions about the balisong community and clones, then you can just go ahead and skip to right here on the video, and it'll just get straight into me talking about my knives. Alright, now I've actually wanted to make this video for quite a while, but there's actually kind of a big reason I was holding off on making this video. And that's because, spoiler warning for the rest of the video, I have clones in my collection. Before we get into the actual video, we need to have a talk about that because in my last video involving clones, some of the balisong community tried to fist fuck me for even being in the vicinity of one. If you're seen with a clone within a mile radius of you, the balisong community kind of likes to just automatically assume you're Adolf Hitler. Actually, one of the dudes I looked up to when I was getting into flipping, he basically told me to go fuck myself for the sole reason of making a video about a clone. And now, for those of you who don't know, a clone is a Chinese version of a name brand knife, and they're usually laughably less expensive than the real deal. And I'll be the first one to tell you that there's a lot of shitty things about clones. They blatantly steal the design from the actual genuine knife maker. 9 times out of 10, they're pretty shitty knives. And what a lot of people will try to do is they'll get these clones and then try to sell them off for the absurd price of the genuine knife. I'll be the first one to say it. Clones are bad. And if the world was perfect, clones wouldn't exist. But also, if the world was perfect, balisongs wouldn't be as absurdly expensive as they are. Most of these dudes that are shitting their pants about clones acting like it's their civil duty to butt fuck everyone who's in a mile radius of a clone, they're either A, sponsored and getting these knives for free, or B, these guys have the money it takes to have shitloads, like tons of these expensive ass knives. And if you can afford loads of those, good for you. Honestly, I'm jealous, but not everyone can do that, you out of touch fuck. And people aren't perfect. Of course, everyone wants a channel alpha beast, but not everyone can drop the $500 it takes to buy one whenever they randomly decide to release it. And if people are given the option to get basically the same thing for 1/4 of the price, why wouldn't they do that? It's not my fault that the balisong market blows ass. So if you want to try and label me as the Antichrist because when I was a teenager I asked for 2 Benchmade clones instead of asking for 2 separate discontinued knives that go for over $400 a piece on the used market, what can I say? I guess I'm not as obviously morally superior as you. Oh, you weren't able to drop hundreds of dollars on the drop of a hat and just settled for a clone? Sorry, but you are now a terrible, disgusting, immoral piece of shit. Oh, you don't live in the USA and it's almost all but impossible for you to get a genuine knife and then just settled for a clone instead? Sorry, but you're basically a terrorist now. Oh, you're a teenager just getting into flipping and don't want to drop at least $100 on a genuine knife and got a clone just to try it out? Better fucking kill yourself because you're now the cause of 9/11. And look, I get it's an expensive hobby, and nowadays there are more options than ever to get into flipping. Squid Industries is the saving grace of this fucking community. But back then, how else were we supposed to get into it other than starting off with a CCC or a clone? Even nowadays, that's still really hard. I mean, what are your options for the below $100 range? A CCC, a clone, or a plastic butterfly knife trainer? Do you honestly expect everyone to drop multiple hundreds of dollars to get into a hobby that they're not even sure they're going to stick with? Fuck off. Do you realize how much of an out-of-touch, narrow-minded boomer fuck you sound like? I'm sure it's entirely possible that the way some of the people in the balisong community handle clones might actually be harming the companies that they defend worse than the actual clones are. Yeah, the clones are taking money, but not that much because their appeal is that they're way cheaper and it's not like these big name knives don't sell out in literally seconds. I'm sure a lot of people who get clones actually did want to buy the legit thing and either A, couldn't afford it, B, missed out on the chance to buy it, or C, didn't want to commit to dropping that much money at one point and just got a clone to test out and make sure they actually wanted to get it. And I'm sure that they eventually intend on getting a legit knife. But no, then the balisong community comes in and all but butt fucks them for owning a clone, and now suddenly they don't want anything to do with balisongs ever again. All because you come off as an army of unfriendly, arrogant douchebags. There's a better way to handle this. So, if you enjoy shitty erotic novels so much that you named your marginally famous Instagram page after one, don't go try talking mad shit about me as a person in one of the videos that I was sponsored to make. Then once I DM you about it, don't turn into a passive little bitch, and then very pathetically try and make me feel bad about making a video in exchange for a free fucking knife. This guy literally tried to tell me that getting the opportunity for a free balisong that's not cheap was a bad idea, or that I shouldn't have done it. As if people are just fucking throwing these out left and right, and like these offers just fall out of everyone's asshole. Grow a pair and actually go after the guy who makes and sells the knives. If you're one of my balisong heroes, don't try and act like me not replying to 50 Shades of Gay within 5 seconds of him making his comment makes me a clown. You're the clown who tried to jump on the bandwagon of trying to insult me by saying, okay boomer, because you didn't have the mental capacity to come up with your own thoughts or insults, and then didn't say jack shit once I actually replied to you. Again, why don't you and your incredible amount of illiteracy go after the guy who actually made the knife I reviewed? Go on. Here's their Instagram. Be a real hero. Speaking of clowns, if your claim to fame is that you're related to one guy who created a knife company, instead of commenting reported on one of my videos, maybe do something useful with your sad little life, like finding a way to actually fix your problem, instead of making yourself look like a whiny little bitch on my YouTube. That's one thing I never see these chodes do, is grow a pair and actually go after the people who are actually making and selling these knives. They just go for the throat of whoever buys them, which does fucking nothing. You don't like that I was given a free knife and in exchange I made a video and reviewed it? Then I implore you to tell the companies that you have a boner for to hook it up. I will gladly, happily, sexually review an Alpha Beast, a Hom, a fucking Benchmade, or whatever other brands get cloned. Oh, you don't want to do that? Well, then crawl out of my asshole. Go do something that might actually help fix your issue. If you honestly think I'm going to turn down a free, expensive product because you have an issue with that product, you better double check on who you're calling delusional. So again, you don't like a product I'm making a review about? I'm begging you. Tell your companies to hook it up. I will deny no offers. Or maybe try and find a way to fix the balisong market so that clones don't have to fill in the very obvious hole in it. Or instead of pounding on your keyboard, make your own company that creates quality balisongs for all price ranges. Or maybe tell the relative that actually did something with their life to go do that with their company. Because I gotta tell you guys, the only thing that crying to me is gonna do is make me laugh. But not even that hard anymore, because honestly it's getting a little sad at this point. Your guys' problem is not the consumer's fault. Sitting on your computer writing a hate message that took you 3 hours to come up with to someone who's already bought a clone doesn't do anything except make you look like a tool. Fight the problem, not the result of the problem. Oh fuck, wait. I forgot. The self-proclaimed advanced balisong manipulator who can't show his face online said I have no authority on this subject. I totally forgot that your tolerance for something has to be as small as your dick in order to have authority in this neck of the woods. The New Age Balisong Community Rulebook clearly states, it doesn't matter your age, race, gender, location, or monetary status. If you so much as walk past a clone, no matter the context, you are automatically a human garbage can. It doesn't matter if you bought it or if it was given to you. You are the reason for the fires in Australia. You are the reason people think Amy Schumer is funny. You are the cause of racism, sexism, and genocide. You should be executed for even being born. World War III is about to start because you exist. If you are caught with one, we will talk mad shit about you as a person, not the knife. But if you actually confront us, our beta asses can just say we only said what we said about you personally because we don't like clones. Don't like that we act like little children? Well then fuck off. We don't want you. We're manly men, so we can be as blunt and as unpleasant as we want. Because telling everyone we don't like to fuck off for the most petty of reasons totally isn't going to harm the potential consumer base of the companies we're defending or sponsored by. We are totally not pathetically aloof to that fact. But also, if you're kind of well known in the community, sometimes we just let it slip. But if you aren't well known in the community and you have a clone, well, you can just drop fucking dead because you are worthless. Welcome to the Balisong community. Wasn't expecting this kind of a petty shit show? Too fucking bad. I don't make the rules here. I think with this rant, you're getting a pretty good idea of how fucking petty and unreasonable the Balisong community can be. And honestly, it's kind of the worst part of flipping. Not the hours of training and practicing, not the cuts you're gonna get. It's the dogmatic, narrow-minded, arrogant, and ignorant point of view of some parts of the Balisong community. This video is not an ad for clones, but since I'm going to be 100% honest about all my knives and not just lie about the clones saying all of them are absolute pieces of shit, they're gonna take this as an ad for clones because their brains don't work properly. I'm not saying clones are amazing and that's all you should buy. Contrary to boomer belief, most people realize that clones are not a good thing and that they shouldn't be here and that you shouldn't support them. And if at all possible, you should stay away from them because their existence isn't cool. But also, I don't live under a fucking rock, and I understand in some circumstances you don't have much of a choice, and that's not your fault. So if you have the money to get the real thing, get it. I promise you, you're not going to regret it. If not, get what you can. I'm not going to tell you you have to drop hundreds of dollars on this elite butterfly knife, and if you're not willing to do that, well, you can just shove your thumbs up your ass and not flip. I'm also not going to say only buy clones and support clones and fuck all the genuine knife makers. I don't know why. I honestly think that's what some of these people believe. That if you have a clone, it's some weird underground plan to just fucking destroy all the genuine knife brands or some stupid shit. Clones are bad. We all know that. And they aren't preferred. And you should avoid them if you can. But if you don't have much of a choice, I'm not going to just tell you to not flip. No. That's retarded. Flipping is awesome. Get into it any way you can. And I think with that quote, I'm going to wrap up this rant of the shit show known as the Balisong community and clones. Whew, glad I got that out of my system. I've been wanting to say that for a little while. Ever since I made that apology video, I thought that would make me feel better, was making an apology video, but it didn't. It just kind of honestly just made me more mad. So yeah, I just kind of vented there for a while. And it's a way longer rant than I thought it would be. I did it twice, so I made sure I actually said everything I wanted to say. So that's why some of the shots look different. I wish I was cool enough to say everything I wanted to in one take, but have you guys ever done reshoots on a rant? Because I have. But enough of that. If you skipped over here to just see the knives, then we're just gonna get right into the knives. So without further ado, let's go check it out. Here's little Kane. This is where I keep my knives. Keep them all nice and organized in this little slot right here. So I'm gonna put them right here, and then we will get an in-depth look at them. All right, guys. So this is the collection as it currently stands. I have 7 butterfly knives here. I've actually owned 10 throughout my entire flipping career, but what happened was a lot of these were kind of taken apart. These 3 were kind of taken apart and just in this big old pile of Balisong parts with all the rest of my knives. And I was able to salvage these 3 and put them back together, but there are also 3 others that I wasn't able to put back together. And those were just 2 Daryl Ralph M-Tech twists. One was like a live blade and one was the comb trainer blade. The other one was one of those cheap scorpion handled aluminum Balisongs that were super light. That was actually one of the first 2 I got. This is the one that I got along with that, but I wish I could have put that one together because honestly, I'd still be flipping it right now. Those are the 3 that are unfortunately not going to be in this video. So starting off, we'll start off with the very first butterfly knife that I ever got along with that scorpion one, which is this, and it's just like this no name. The reason I got this one along with the scorpion one was because it was the one that looked most like a Benchmade 42, because I got into flipping right around the time they discontinued the 42. So I mean, I just picked the best time to get into flipping. And this thing is a hot turd. Oh my god, it's definitely the worst. It's definitely one of, if not the worst butterfly knife that I have. I mean, it was a hell of a way to start. Basic blade shape and it's serrated, so every single time you come up a little short or your technique isn't perfect, you just get kissed by these, and it just feels great. The tang pin fell out a long time ago. It's got a shitty clip that won't stay put. It's had a latch on it, but it fell off a long time ago. It's just cheap pot metal garbage. Like, this is the epitome of a CCC. This thing, but I mean, it was my very first Balisong, so it does have some sentimental value, and it is still flippable, even though I'd say it's probably the roughest one to flip. That's the play on it. And yeah, and it's just cheap pot metal crap. But the one good thing I can say about this, no matter how hard I've beat on this thing, it hasn't fallen apart yet. These pivots refuse to come out. So after hell and high water, this thing still stays together, kinda. So we'll flip this one around here for a little bit. I'll try not to destroy my hand with it because this one's definitely the roughest flipper. So this is the flipping of my very first butterfly knife. So for all these, I'll do a little sound test first. So here's the sound test for this one. It's honestly pretty quiet and sounds kind of crappy. So for flipping this one, I mean, it actually does flip okay. The balance on it is actually pretty good. The only thing is that this one's definitely kind of got the worst fit and finish. So it's very sharp and edgy and rough to flip. That's how I could word that, is it's just kind of rough to flip. I hate the serration, especially for flipping, because if you come up a little bit short, it just kisses you right there and it just sucks. Even though it's missing a tang pin, it does flip pretty well. I mean, for a CCC at least. So yeah, that's how the first one flips. Flips decently, but it's garbage. And then we move on to this one. It's called a Linton cutlery. I think it's just one of those base model CCCs that are mass produced and then some random company put their stamp on it. And this one is marginally better than the first 2 I got, only because the balance on this one actually isn't terrible. You can actually flip this one pretty well. Play actually isn't as bad as you'd think it'd be for a CCC, but it's not amazing either. It's got a cool blade shape, and even though it is smaller, it does flip okay. And this one, I actually learned a lot of my tricks on this one. There's the Linton. We'll go flip that one around a little. Again, it's just stainless steel poo. So here's the sound test for the Linton. This one actually chaplains pretty well. So yeah, that's what it sounds like. And this one does flip pretty well. I'd say the biggest downside for this one when it comes to flipping is that it's small, and since the tang pins are smushed in, it will pinch you sometimes. So that's a downside, but other than that, this thing does flip pretty well. And I mean, I learned a lot of my tricks on this knife, and it's kind of where I got a lot of my style from. But so yeah, this one flips okay. So yeah, even though it's a CCC, this one does flip pretty well. So that's the Linton. Now, get your hate comments ready because we're going to the clones. It's the attack of the clones. So this is my Benchmade 42 clone, and this thing is hot garbage also. When I first got it, it was okay, but it fell apart in like 5 seconds. This thing was made when like they first started really doing clones, and so they really hadn't gotten as good at it yet. The handles are stainless steel, pivots are garbage, blade sucks. It's the epitome of a shitty clone. And there's the play. I mean, it's not amazing, but it could be worse. It's kind of hard to tell, but I think the pivot holes in the blade are offset, so I don't think it is balanced properly at all. When I used to flip this, I was able to do stuff on it, but now once I put this thing back together and tried to flip it, it flips terrible. I hate the way this thing flips. Definitely what comes to mind when you think of a crappy clone. So for the 42 clone, here's how this one sounds. This one actually does kind of sound pretty solid. So yeah, that's the way this one sounds, and this thing is flippable. It's just the balance on it is so freaking weird. Like there's just some stuff that just don't work, that just doesn't work for it. And see, like right there, it just got all freaking weird. I mean, it still flips okay, but the balance on it is just so awkward, and I'm pretty sure it's because the pivot holes are offset, so it just doesn't really work right. See, this one kind of have to work a little harder to chaplain this one. And just the balance, it's just like clunky to flip. And it's heavy. So, yeah, I mean, it flips okay, but it's definitely not amazing. I'd definitely say the first two flip better than this one. And then we have the 47 clone. This one is marginally better because it's still the same build quality as this one, but this one's actually flippable. This one I actually used for a really long time. The handles on this one a little bit more squared compared to this one, which are more rounded. So I like that. The handles are stainless steel, just like this one. The blade is crap. It's dull as hell. In order to keep this one going, I put washers and an aftermarket pivot system in it. Made this thing hold up for quite a while. The tang hasn't been completely smushed in yet either. So this one actually does flip relatively well, and I was able to do a lot of stuff on it, and it's what I used for a long time. Here's the play on this one. Not bad. I'm pretty sure the pivots on it are loose. It's still a clone, a badly made one at that, but it's held up and flips pretty well. 47 clone. Here's how it sounds. That's how it sounds. It sounds a little creaky and clunky, but this one actually does flip pretty well. It definitely does flip better than the 42. It is still kind of weird for some stuff. I mean, it does flip pretty well. So yeah, this one flips all right. But I mean, it's a clone, so. And that's probably the biggest downside of this one is it's not Loctited, so these screws are coming out. Now's where we get into the good stuff, guys, because for the first like 3 years of flipping or so, I had just CCC garbage. So at this point in my flipping life, I was tired of getting just crappy clones or CCCs, and I wanted to have something nice. I wanted to have a good, reliable flipper that would stay together and that would just flip well. And Blade Runners had already had the Alpha Beast out, and I was considering that. But then one day they made a video of their prototype for the Replicant. Like at that point I was like, okay, I'm going to start saving now so that whenever it does eventually come out, I can be one of the first ones to get it. And I'm glad to say that I was one of the first people to ever get a Blade Runner Systems Replicant. This is a version 1 Replicant, one of the first ones that was ever produced en masse. The cool thing about this one is since it's a version 1, it's actually designed a little bit differently than a modern day Replicant. The handles are a little bit thinner and they taper a little bit more along with the blade. A lot of people say the version 1s flip better than all the other versions, but I can't really speak on that because I've never flipped another Replicant other than this. But this one is, oof, I'm a spoiler alert, this is the best flipper that I have. Were you really surprised? Right now, the play on it, the plate could definitely be a little bit better. I think I just need to re-Loctite this. Easily my #1 flipper. This thing flips amazing. The handles are made of G10 and titanium, 154 cm steel blade. This thing is incredible. This thing is definitely still my number one. And what actually happened was once I got this, I didn't get anything else for like another 4 or 5 years because I didn't need anything else. The perfect flipper. This is the Replicant. This is what it sounds like. Is that not the most dialed thing you've ever heard? Yeah, this thing sounds beautiful. It is incredible. Fuck. Yeah, it sounds beautiful. This thing is incredible to flip. It's got the best balance, the best tolerances, the best handling. I love the way this thing flips. Yeah, this thing is a monster. Definitely top flipper. If you've never flipped a Replicant, especially a version 1 Replicant, if you ever get the chance to, I definitely say do it because these things are awesome. So yeah, that's the Replicant. And then, so that's what I had for like 4 years. I just used that, and then all these were just kind of taken apart. Then it leads up to nowadays where probably about 6 months ago, I was thinking about getting another knife, and I was looking around, and what I actually wanted was a trainer, a decent trainer. That's when I started looking at this bad boy, and this is a Squid Industries Triton. And I mean, just look at this thing. It's gorgeous. The solid aluminum anodized handles, the cool looking trainer blade. It's got a good pivot system on it. It's got press fit Zen pins. For the price of this thing, it can't be beat. If you're getting into flipping, I highly recommend you check out Squid Industries because these guys are awesome and they make awesome products for a really good price. So if you're on a budget and you're looking to get into balisongs, I do definitely recommend this. Downsides to this one, all I can really think of is that when you first get it, the handles are going to be like this, nice far away, but over time, the Zen pins do get a little smushed, and unfortunately, I think eventually this is going to start tapping, but for now, it's doing all right. This is another amazing flipper. That's one thing that I love about this. On top of being aesthetically pleasing and for a good price point, they did design this thing to be an amazing flipper. So shout out to Squid Industries. Definitely another one of my favorites. Now we have Senor Squid Triton. This is what it sounds like. Definitely a lot louder than most of them. But also this thing flips amazingly. I love the way this one flips. It's awesome. It's good for really everything. It's got good balance. It's nice and light. Honestly, I'd say the biggest downside for this one when it comes to flipping is sometimes people make a comment about how loud it is. But other than that, I love this thing. So yeah, that's the Triton. And now we're going to end off on easily the most controversial one. And that is this, a Gyro Balisong the One, great title, selected rep. Now, the story behind this one, the guy who owns Gyro Balisong the One, he saw my video about my Triton and my Replicant, and he asked if I would be willing to review one of his knives that he'd send to me for free. And I'm not an idiot, so I said, hell yeah, I would. And so he sent it to me and I reviewed it, and that's where all the controversy lies within that rant, because this is a clone. A lot of people really wanted me to just say that it's a hunk of crap, but honestly it's not. It is a clone, and that is a bad thing, but I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty well made, and for the price that it's sold at, it's really good. I mean, this thing also has G10 scales, titanium handles. I'd say where the quality drops on this knife is I don't think this blade is going to hold an edge. Other than that, balance on this thing is very good. This thing does flip really well. I'm sorry if that hurts your guys' feelings, but I'm not going to lie and say this thing's garbage. When I did make the review on this, a lot of people were kind of butthurt that I left the latch on, but I just left the latch on because I took the latch off on all my other knives, and I just thought it'd be cool to have one where I left the latch on. A lot of people wanted to hear how this thing sounds without the latch. I'm almost positive it's going to sound exactly like this. It was funny. Someone commented, he's like, I really wish he would have took the latch off so I could hear the way it sounds. And Nardath was like, it sounds like a CCC. This thing is definitely not a CCC. Yeah, it's a clone, and you have every right to dislike it as much as you want. This is a well-made moral conundrum. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings. This thing is not a CCC. So yeah, go leave your dislike. Take the 5 hours it's going to take you to write your very in-depth hate comment. Go ahead and talk mad shit about me as a person just because I am not an idiot and didn't turn down a free balisong. Final one we're looking at is the Replicant Clone because it's the latest one I got. And so here's the sound test for this one. So, as you can tell, this one does sound a little clunkier and stuff. And that's just because I left the latch on this one, and I left it on so I could do this. It's one of my favorite things to do with a butterfly knife, and I do definitely miss it on all my other knives that don't have latches. But yeah, that's the reason this one sounds a little clunkier, is because of the latch. If it didn't have the latch, it would sound exactly like a Replicant. Nardath tried to say the reason it sounds so clunky is because it's a CCC. It's not a CCC. It sounds like what a Replicant sounds like when the latch is on it. Don't act like that's not what it sounds like. But flipping this one, it does flip really well. It is a little bit heavier. This one is a little heavier than the actual Replicant. That's just because the materials, that's just because on the handles are a little thicker and there's a little bit more meat in there, and just because of the, and also because of the latch, but this thing still flips really well. Oy, she got me. I also forgot to mention, this one's blade is really freaking sharp. It just got me pretty good right there. So yeah, that's fun. But yeah, this one, a lot of people don't want to hear me say it. This one does flip really well and is pretty good quality. And it just cut the shit out of me. So yeah, that's going to wrap that up. So I very impulsively said I would rank these. So I guess that's how we'll end off this video. So in last place, I'm going to put the 42 Clone just because the flipping on it is abysmal and the quality on it is abysmal. We'll go ahead and put that one in last place. Second to last place, we'll put my first Balisong just because it's an absolute hunk of junk. And the only difference between this one and this one is that this one actually stayed together somehow, and it doesn't flip that terribly. Third last place, it's going to have to be the Linton, just because, I mean, it does flip well, but it's small and it's crappy. Put those right there. Fourth place will have to be the 47, because while it does flip well, it is a clone, and it's not that well made. So this one will go into fourth place. Third place is going to be the Replicant Clone. While it is a well-made knife and it does flip really well, it is a clone. You know, that's not very cool. And I guess because I left the latch on this one. Third place goes to the well-made clone. Second place is the Triton. It is amazing. I love the way it looks. I love the way it flips. I love the price point on it, and I love the people who made it. Great knife. Great trainer. Highly recommend Squid Industries. They make amazing products and they're not absurdly expensive. Especially some of their intro-level Balisongs. You can't, for the quality that you get from these, you can't beat the price. And I guess the only knock to this one is that it's a trainer, I guess. I guess some people who have a Napoleon complex say that trainers aren't really actual Balisongs, but I'm not autistic, so I'm not going to say that. And in first place, what else could it be other than my version 1 Blade Runner's Replicant? This thing's awesome. It was definitely the most expensive one, but believe me, I got what I paid for. Flipping on it is incredible. The design is incredible. The fit and finish on this thing is incredible. The quality is incredible. Durability of this thing is incredible because this was pretty much my beater for 5 years. Just overall, it's definitely my best knife. So I guess if this video taught you anything, it's you do get what you pay for. But don't forget the rant. Get what you can get. Don't just not flip. That's the ranking for all my butterfly knives. So I guess now we're just gonna have to wait till I get more butterfly knives and then I can make another collection video. And with that, that is going to wrap up this video of my 2020 Balisong collection. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you watched the rant. I really do appreciate it, but I understand that not many people want to hear bitching for a whole 10 minutes. So if you watch the entire thing, thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did enjoy, please leave a like, leave a comment, give me your thoughts and opinions. Share this video around, subscribe for more if you haven't already. Yeah, stay tuned for more Balisong content eventually. Thank you guys once again so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.